let's quickly just do this Bill Gates thing just because it is funny and it gets to what you're talking about. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. Bill Gates gave an interview to the Sunday Times where he said a lot of interesting stuff. He said he was very stupid to be caught being with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, is that how he phrased it?
Do you remember, did you hear the operative word there? What was the operative word? It was very, to be caught with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. But on Elon, here's what he had to say. He said, it's really insane. He can destabilize the political situations in countries. I think in the US, foreigners aren't allowed to give money. Other countries maybe should adopt safeguards to make sure super rich foreigners aren't distorting their elections. The Microsoft founder said he was not at all concerned about influencing politics like Musk. However, he has told friends he has since donated $50 million to Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. He says, he obviously criticizes him about the AfD and about Nigel Farage in the UK, but he also offers muted praise for Musk. He said, Musk, we can all overreach if someone is super smart, and he is. They should think about how they can help out. But this is populist stirring. And what I think is really funny throughout this is Gates trying to square, he's, like you just said, he's got his hatred of Elon. He doesn't like Elon for being kind of like a cultural traitor. But whenever it comes to this idea of influencing politics or world politics, I mean, I don't have to be the first one to tell you that nobody has influenced politics in Africa probably more than any other American than Bill Gates through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I mean, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is basically a private USAID, which doles out more than USAID and has influenced malaria, AIDS, or whatever policy, vaccination in those countries. You can be fine with that if you think it's good. Some of it's been fine. But you have to also think, like, dude, you're wielding immense power as a nation state. And then, you know, not to mention the $50 million for Kamala Harris.
Like,
or
that's fine.
I don't know if you saw this, but, you know, Reid Hoffman is now spending even more money behind the Democratic machine. And there's a hilarious tweet going back to 2016, I'm sure you saw, from Sam Altman being like, we all need to credit Reid Hoffman for spending more money than anybody else to defeat Donald Trump. He's like, what a hero this guy is. I mean, Reid is the biggest single donor, I think, in the entire Democratic Party. So yes, look, Elon and all that, it's extraordinary, right? But if you actually look at the equivalent number or whatever of billionaires, I think that there either more, or like in terms of the overall absolute number who had endorsed Kamala Harris or had been giving to them. And you know, you haven't even seen this because we've been doing the show. Gary Peters, the senator from Michigan, says he won't run in 26. So who do we all know who lives in Michigan? Mayor Pete. You know, so Senator
Pete was looking at governor there too.
Yeah, well, this is the easiest
I prefer
thing.
that to him running for president.
Ugh, no, but this will be the stepping stone, Krystal. He'll pull an RFK, the senior, not junior, in terms of running in 2 years and then immediately or an Obama or a J.D. Vance. You know, this is what these people do. So, you know the amount of money that's behind Pete Buttigieg. It's crazy. And boomers love Pete.
Wine Cave Pete.
Wine Cave Pete.
They love to watch him. I mean, I enjoy watching. He's good at like going on Fox News and like doing the thing. And I do worry that that's going to substitute for like an actual change of direction because there are so many liberals who just love to see him be able to like go into lines. And same thing with Gavin Newsom, which I get. But you're going to need something more than that if you're actually going to make a material difference in people's lives and be able to fight back against this, the right-wing Trumpist movement. You know, just going back to Bill Gates here for a second. There's the pieces you mentioned. Also, we spent a lot of time covering on Rising, the way that he was so influential in shaping the COVID vaccine response and making it so that it was controlled by these private big pharma companies because he's a big believer in patents rather than making it widely available and, you know, a public good so that the entire world could benefit from it and not just, you know, originally primarily the developed world. So he, you know, even on that was very influential. And then to hold up the US model of campaign finance like it's anything to be emulated is freaking insane, right? It's insane. Yes, we do bar foreigners from contributing. That is the one good thing you can say about it. But there is no way in hell that we should have the system that we have where Bill Gates can give 50 million or Elon Musk can give $250 million, probably more, in order to elect their favored candidate. That is crazy. And I can tell you all day long, which is true, that Kamala had a larger number of billionaires who endorsed her. Trump had a larger concentration of a handful. It was like 3 billionaires who gave him something like $500 million. So that's why they've ended up with such extraordinary power, Elon in particular, Miriam Adelson as well, in this administration. So I can tell you how this is different in terms of the scale, but anyone can look and say, well, what about Bill Gates? Well, what about George Soros? Well, what about Reid Hoffman? And how much does my little like parsing of, oh, but technically they didn't give as much as this one already. No one cares because they also had way too much power, way too much influence, shape everything about the Democratic Party in terms of what policies they're really going to fight for, what they're really going to pursue, who's going to be in their administration, what those priorities are ultimately going to be. So, Democrats, if you actually want to have a compelling political alternative to Trumpism, you have to reject all. There are no good billionaires. You have to reject it all. You have to do it aggressively. It has to be clear what side you are actually on. And, there is a lot of polling out there that the Achilles heel of this Trump administration is how much influence these billionaires have. People hate it, right? Elon's approval rating has fallen off a cliff. He's dramatically unpopular now. That was not the case in the past. They are really skeptical of even Doge, which I'm surprised at because just the government efficiency, that sounds good. But because it's seen as this billionaire project, a lot of skepticism. You only have 12% of Americans who say they like the idea of billionaires advising government, right? To me, this is the potential Achilles heel for this administration. But if you're out there still, in league with Bill Gates and Reid Hoffman, and that is the center of gravity in your party, and you are not willing to make a clean, clear break with them, then all of your complaints about that are going to fall on deaf ears, and you will be seen as hypocrites. And I've mentioned this several times, but I think it is so emblematic. The lead candidate for DNC chair right now, Ken Martin, who I'm sure has other things to recommend him. I know people like him, know him, whatever. I don't know anything about him other than he ran a state party, okay? And when he got asked about money in politics, he said, of course, we're going to continue to take money from good billionaires. Good billionaires.
And who's one of the leading candidates to become the nominee in 2028? J.B. Pritzker, who bragged on the DNC stage that he was an actual billionaire. That's another one which drives me crazy. It's like, dude, you didn't even earn it. You're an heir. Is there anything more grotesque in the American tradition than the billionaire heir? Well, it's a universally despised person.
He could pull a page from the Trumpian playbook where, first night was like, well, I'm a billionaire, so I don't need these people's money. He could pull that page, but he is.
But he hasn't governed that way.
No, he hasn't. He's done a decent job. I don't know enough to lay out all of his track record, but I know he's done some things that were positive in the state, and in some ways been, in certain instances, a class traitor. But he is not. You really need an outsider. You do. Because all of these other people are too infected in the way things are currently in the Democratic Party and their current way of thinking and their current power structures, et cetera. So in any case, Bill Gates, you're right about Elon Musk, but you need to look in the mirror, buddy. You need to look in the mirror.
Well, I don't think that's going to be happening. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Great Counterpoint show for everyone tomorrow, and we will see you all on Thursday.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.